Thunder rolls across a dead valley as a lone figure moves through the fog, boots crunching softly against wet dirt. Somewhere in the darkness, something watches him. Not a wolf, not a bear, a horse. But this is no gentle animal from storybooks or ranches. This is a wild stallion, over 1,000 pounds of muscle, instinct, and territorial fury. One kick from its hind legs can crush a ribcage like dry wood. One charge can send a human body flying through the air like a rag doll. And when these animals decide to attack, there is no hesitation. No warning growl, no second chance, only impact. Because beneath the beauty of flowing manes and thunderous hoofs hides one of nature's most violent survivors. For centuries, humans have romanticized horses as symbols of freedom and loyalty. We paint them in heroic portraits, place them beside kings and warriors, and teach children to admire their elegance. But wild stallions exist far from human fantasy. Out in the harsh wilderness, they are not companions, they are fighters. Every day is a brutal struggle for dominance, territory, and survival. A stallion lives under constant pressure, protecting its herd, driving away rivals, and defending itself against predators that stalk the edges of the plains. In this world, weakness is punished instantly. And over time, that pressure forged an animal capable of horrifying violence. The transformation begins the moment a stallion feels threatened. Its ears flatten against its skull. Its nostrils widen as hot breath pours into cold air. Muscles tighten beneath the skin like coiled steel cables preparing to snap. Then comes the sound, the pounding of hooves striking the ground with enough force to shake the earth itself. When a wild stallion charges, it feels less like an animal attack and more like a collision with a speeding vehicle. At full speed, these creatures can reach nearly 55 miles per hour, carrying hundreds of pounds of pure momentum directly toward a target. Their greatest weapon lies in their hind legs. A stallion's kick can unleash more than 2,000 pounds of force in an instant. Bones shatter, internal organs rupture. Victims often collapse before realizing what hit them. Unlike many animals, horses can kick in multiple directions with terrifying speed and accuracy. Backward, sideways, even while moving. In the wild, a single defensive kick can kill wolves, break the jaws of mountain lions, or cripple rival stallions during violent territorial battles. And once a horse begins striking, it rarely stops after one blow. But their legs are not the only weapons nature gave them. Stallions bite with shocking aggression during combat. Their large incisors, designed for tearing tough vegetation, become instruments of mutilation when fights erupt. Wild stallions clamp onto each other's necks, shoulders, and faces, twisting violently until flesh rips apart. Many surviving males carry horrifying scars across their bodies, deep wounds, chunks of missing skin, damaged eyes, and broken jaws left behind from years of brutal dominance fights. Some battles last minutes. Others continue for hours until one animal finally collapses from exhaustion or catastrophic injury. One of the darkest incidents involving a wild stallion occurred in the Nevada desert during breeding season. A ranch worker entered a fenced area containing a notoriously aggressive male that had recently become unstable and territorial. Witnesses later described the attack as almost instantaneous. The stallion lowered its head and exploded forward with terrifying speed, slamming directly into the man's chest. The impact launched him backward before the animal began trampling him repeatedly into the dirt. Each strike landed with crushing force. By the time rescuers managed to pull the animal away, the victim had suffered massive internal trauma and fatal chest injuries. The horse was not hunting, it was defending dominance. Pure instinct had taken over completely. Breeding season transformed stallions into something far more dangerous than most people realize. Testosterone floods their bodies, amplifying aggression and territorial behavior to extreme levels. Rivals become enemies, movement becomes a threat. Even humans can trigger violent reactions simply by standing too close. In this heightened state, a stallion's mind shifts entirely into combat mode. Their focus narrows, their reactions become explosive, and once adrenaline takes control, stopping them becomes almost impossible. In the frozen grasslands of Mongolia, researchers once documented a battle between two alpha stallions so brutal it resembled something prehistoric. The fight began with warning screams, echoing across the snow-covered plains. The stallions circled each other, pawing the frozen ground as steam rose from their bodies into the icy air. Then suddenly, both animals collided head-on with horrifying force. They bit into each other's necks, slammed chest to chest, and unleashed repeated kicks powerful enough to snap bones instantly. Blood sprayed across the snow, as flesh tore beneath their teeth. One stallion eventually collapsed after suffering devastating injuries to its ribs and legs. But the victor continued attacking long after the defeated animal could no longer stand. In nature, mercy does not exist. Dominance is everything. Wild stallions fight this way because losing means death. An exiled male often wanders alone without protection, food excess, or a herd. Injured horses quickly become targets for wolves, disease, starvation, and exposure. Every territorial battle is a desperate war for survival, and instinct pushes these animals beyond ordinary limits of violence. Their bodies are engineered for endurance, massive lungs feeding oxygen into dense muscle groups, powerful necks built for wrestling rivals, and heavy chests capable of absorbing impact during combat. They are prey animals that evolved into living tanks. Even predators fear healthy adult stallions. Wolves rarely attack strong males directly because one accurate kick can crush a skull instantly. Mountain lions prefer weaker targets whenever possible. Bears have been injured trying to confront mature horses protecting their herds. A stallion standing between danger and its family becomes terrifyingly aggressive, charging predators with explosive confidence despite the risk of death. That combination of fear, power, and survival instinct makes them uniquely dangerous in the animal kingdom. Another chilling incident unfolded near a national park where tourists ignored warning signs and approached a herd of wild horses for photographs. Witnesses described one black stallion separating from the group and staring silently at the crowd. To inexperienced visitors, the horse appeared calm, almost curious. But wildlife officers immediately recognized the warning signs. Its ears pinned backward, its body stiffened, its tail flicked violently through the air. Seconds later, the stallion charged. Panic erupted as people scattered across the dirt road. One tourist was struck hard enough to suffer multiple fractures, while others narrowly escaped being trampled beneath pounding hooves. The attack happened so fast that many witnesses later struggled to describe what they had seen. One moment the horse stood motionless, the next, it became pure violence. That is what makes wild stallions so terrifying. Their power hides beneath elegance, their danger hides beneath beauty. Humans often mistake calmness for safety, forgetting that these animals are driven by instincts older than civilization itself. A startled stallion does not think like a domesticated pet. It reacts like a wild survivor, protecting territory, herd, and life with overwhelming force. Out in the wilderness, nature wears many disguises. Sometimes danger arrives with claws and teeth. Sometimes it stalks silently through forests or waits beneath dark water. But sometimes it gallops across open plains beneath a storm-black sky, wrapped in flowing manes and thunderous beauty. Wild stallions are not gentle spirits of freedom. They are creatures shaped by millions of years of violence, fear, and survival. Every scar across their bodies tells the story of combat. Every pounding hoofbeat echoes with ancient instinct, and every warning humans ignore pushes them closer to disaster. Nature does not forgive. These killers do not show mercy. The wild has rules older than humanity itself, invisible boundaries, understood by every creature born beneath the storm. Cross those boundaries, and the consequences arrive fast. Sometimes on silent paws, sometimes on wings, and sometimes on thunderous hooves charging straight out of the darkness.